While Australia's coast is surrounded by water, we must not forget that Australia is the Earth's driest inhabited continent and strongly feels the effects of water shortage. Melbourne is beginning to take steps to ensure a sustainable water future. Hi, I'm Anita Anthony and you're watching Echo Track. The Mercedes-Benz FSA World Drive made its way to Australia's coastline and will cross the fifth continent, driving from Sydney to Perth. Water is a precious commodity here and one long-term goal for Melbourne. By 2018, they hope to achieve zero net greenhouse gas emissions and meet all their energy needs from renewable sources. The guys on the FSA tour wanted to prove that the only emission from the FSA cars really is just water. Cars that are currently circling the world produce their own electricity as a result of the chemical reaction of oxygen and hydrogen, and see? It is water in its purest form. While green roofs have amazing potential, because of climatic conditions in Australia, they're still not commonly found here, and there has been very little information as to how to go about designing them. Melbourne's Green Roofs project is helping to create a greener skyline down under. At the University of Melbourne, a group of scientists are now researching how Australia can maximize its environmental and economic benefits through green urban design. Christian spoke with Professor John Rayner.
While green rooftops are already quite common in other parts of the world, research and development are quite new in Australia. John Rayner, lecturer at Melbourne University and one of the Green Rooftop Project's heads, explains to me. And in each region of the world, depending on its climate, the choice of plants and materials, as well as the methods used to build, green rooftops are always different.
The sort of research that is done in other parts of the world doesn't really apply in Australia, so we need to do our own research to work out issues of water and plants and substrates and soils and all these sorts of issues that will help us to develop an industry, because it's very new here. The technologies are still new, so we need to have research that can support the industry to develop.
Australia is home to some of the best waves on the planet to surf on, with plenty of coastline to choose from. Pacific Ocean in the east, the Indian Ocean in the west, and the Southern Ocean in the south. The World Drive drove up the coast. Surfing has been a way of life for Stuart Darcy since he was 8 years old, and it's fitting that he would meet his wife Michelle on the beach in Melbourne. After working in surfboard factories, he soon discovered that he and many of his friends got sick from the fumes, dust and chemicals they were using. So, 23 years ago, he and Michelle set out to manufacture surfboards in a much more eco-friendly way. The company has been making waves in the surfboard world ever since. Christian met Michelle and Darcy on the beach in Melbourne.
Michelle and Darcy have been together for 24 years and have 2 grown children. Being very environmentally friendly was never meant to be about either clever marketing or selfless altruism, they tell me.
It all comes down to conscience. And my conscience is that I use the ocean, I use the environment, and I'd like to see the environment and the ocean last for my kids and their kids.
You can't really get much closer to nature than being at one with the ocean, so it just makes sense.
On the next day, Darcy and his friend Grant go for a quick surf for our camera team. And I have a brief, very first lesson. Okay, I'm maybe sort of a hopeless case, but I will try harder.
The shortage of water is a big concern in Australia, and safe and accessible drinking water is one of the rarest resources on the planet. 1 in 8 people in our world don't have access to potable water, causing nearly 80% of sickness and disease in developing regions. After visiting Cambodia in 2008 and noticing the huge lack of everyday products we take for granted, John Liao, a university student from Melbourne, said he was inspired to use his design skills to help others. The solar ball. Although it looks like a hamster ball, its function is quite different. John's design uses only sunlight to purify water, and here is how it works. The sun heats up the solar ball, which causes the dirty water to evaporate. The evaporation forms beads of water on the ceiling of the ball. These beads of water eventually run down into the gutter. Clean water is now ready to drink. This is an ingenious way to purify up to 3 liters of water per day for those who truly need it. As Christian drove further on to Adelaide, he visited a true green island right smack in the middle of a city of more than 1 million inhabitants. Christie Walk, an eco-urban complex developed for Urban Ecology Australia and built by the architect group Ecopolis as an experiment in a quality of life eco-city. Christian had the chance to explore Christie Walk.
Joe Thomas is a doctor who has been living a long time here. The most important aspect of Christie Walk is community, she tells me. The inhabitants want to show that privacy and community can fit together also in big cities.
We allow people to come onto the site and see how we live. Makes us a little bit like a curiosity, so living in a fishbowl sometimes is people are coming to look at how you do things. But it's also great because it gives other people ideas for living more sustainably in their own houses and developments.
It's like an eco-zoo.
It's an eco-zoo, yeah. And we are, you know, the crazy greenies that you come to look at, and you're not allowed to feed us or pet us.
Imagine being on a rowing boat, completely alone in the middle of an ocean. Well, I couldn't. But this lady has done this and will do it again. More on that next week on Eco Track.